Okay, I'm going to write some. I'm going to create some objects in Java. Same setup as before. Slight difference is that I'm using Notepad++ instead of Notepad. If you've got Notepad++ installed as a portable app on your memory stick, good. It does some nice things in terms of color coding and formatting and so forth. But if you haven't, then plain vanilla Notepad will work just as well. At the end of the day, you're only writing text files, so it doesn't matter which particular editor you use. They all just write text files at the end of it. So Notepad++, I'm going to set the language to Java, so it'll do the color coding for Java, and we're going to create a class, and let's call this my big program, and it's good. This will be the main entrance point for the program, so it needs a main clause in here. It's the only class that has a main clause, which is going to be public. It's going to be static. Doesn't return anything. It's called main, and we can hand it some. We can hand it a oops, call it string. Sorry. We can hand it some arguments if we want. String my arguments. And just widen that slightly. I didn't realise I wasn't quite working there. And that's pretty well set up as a Java program. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and see if we can compile it. Just move these windows slightly. We'll have a go at compiling that. So what I want to do first of all is file. I want to save as. And once we've set this save as, it should say, every time I hit Control S, it should save in this directory. So we're going to call it Java, my Java stuff. We're going to save it in here. It already recognizes it's a Java file name. And let's call, oh, now the other thing, of course, is when I save it, I've got to save it as my big program. So I'll call it my big program, hit save. Okay, and let's just see if that will compile. Now remember, with the two little batch programs that we had here, we had, in fact, with Notepad++, it'll allow me to open multiple windows. So let me just quickly refresh and just show you that. If I open that with Notepad, there is the batch file that sets the path correctly, because every time you shut a command prompt, you lose that path. And if I open that, there is the little batch file that does the compiling and running. I've already set the path, so I don't have to type that again. I'm going to go. Oh, I need to just change this and call this now my big program. And I need to run. Control C. I need to run that program. So now let's just do. Control save that. So this batch file here called R for run should compile my big program and run it. So if I go over here, hit R, compiling it, run it, didn't do anything, but it seems to work. Okay, I can close that down. Close. I can close the path batch file, and let's go back here. Let's make this do something. Let's just check that things work here. We'll do system.out. .println and we'll say all systems are. Just check that works. Control S over here, type R. Files it, runs it. There we are. Seems to be working fine. Okay, we're going to create an object, and we're going to create this object. The objects are going to be created from a class. So remember, a class is like a blueprint. I was banging on about classes of warships. You can have classes of. I don't know why the military world seems to have lots of classes. There's class of tanks, there's class of aircraft, and so forth. All a class means is a group. They're all made from the same blueprint, and then there's sort of slight alterations in it. So we're going to have a class. I'm going to call this class. I don't know. For some reason I keep calling things robot, but there we are. Let's have a class of robot, and let's decide our robot's going to have a mood. It's going to have int. It's going to have I don't know, age, and let's make it do something as well. It'll say what can we do? Do shouting. I don't know. Do robot shout? Anyway, this one does. And we'll stick in here and say system.out.println, and let's have it shouting something like this, caps lock, something like that. Let's just condense this a little bit so you can see what's going on. And what I can do is should be able to use, because I'm using Notepad++, I should be able to run something like, can I do it from here? Let's just have a look. From here maybe, I think I think you'll find that C++ reindent works for Java as well. Try that. There we are, look at that, it's made it all nice and pretty. It's done all the indents for us, okay? So we've got the top class, which is my big program, and that just has one main clause in it, and that just prints out all systems are go. And then we've got this class of robot here. What we want to do is actually create that robot. So let's just go into the main class up here, and we're going to create, there's two things to create in an object. You create an object, and you need a remote control to control the object. So there's like two steps to it. So let's just create the remote control first. We're going to create still got caps lock on. I'm going to create a robot robot remote control called Billy for some bizarre reason, and then we're going to assign Billy to a new version of that of an actual object, which will be a robot object. So we say Billy equals new robot. Now that seems slightly weird there, as though we're doing two things, which we are. We're creating a remote control called Billy, and then we're attaching that remote control to a new robot. Now the reason why we're doing that is because that remote control Billy, you can attach to any robot that's going, new ones or existing ones. So you can have a remote control controlling several robots if you wanted to. And in fact, you can actually stick this all on one line like this. If I just delete that. That also works. That's doing the two things in the one line. It's just that when you see that line for the first time, it's very difficult to work out there's actually two things happening just in that one clause. Okay, so robot Billy equals new robot, and now we've created a robot. We've assigned it to the remote control called Billy. Now that remote control, we can actually make do things. It's got Billy.do shouting here. So do shouting. And what that should now do is create this robot called Billy, and Billy should do some shouting. So let's see what happened. Let's try compiling it. I've probably got a bunch of errors in there. Let's see where the errors are. Seems to work. I've got an error there. I've got it says invalid method declaration. Do shouting. Just a minute. Just a second. Yeah, I've had just a second. Down here, this method doesn't actually return anything, so I should have put a void in there. I think that should probably do it. Control S again, let's try that. Now just something to be aware of, that little batch file, if there is an error in the compilation, notice that javax run, it's found the error for you, but then in the batch file you've said continue to run, and it's run the old copy of my big program. So the new copy, it stopped halfway through the compilation, but then went on to run the old copy. So don't think that it's actually worked. What it's done there is run the old version. It's not that the new version, it's found the error and then continue to run. That's not the case, and I probably need to try and demonstrate that at some point to you. Let's just have a go here again. Let's run that, see what happens. Compiles it, runs it, and there we go. It's actually compiled it, run it, says all systems are go, and then it created the robot, and they made the robot do the shouting, which is that weird clause there, stop shouting. Now let's just have a look at this. Let's add another method to it. Let's make this one void tell, call it all tell my details. Not being very creative tonight because it's coming up to 8:30. Void tell my details, and this is going to do. Let's take this. I'll just rip that line off from there. Control C. Stick that in here, Control V, and it's going to do my is plus mood and plus and my age is, I'll widen the screen so you can see what's going on here. Let's just make it a bit wider. There we are. And my age is plus age. So that's basically going to take whatever's in those two variables and put them in there. Now at the moment we haven't actually set anything there, so they should be void. If we then run that, let's do this up here and say Billy do shouting. We'll have Billy, what was it? Tell my details. Tell Billy, tell my details. We've got this row, just move that up a bit, like that. I've gone a bit mad with spacing here. Let's move some of this. Okay, so we're going to create a robot and we're going to operate a couple of its methods there. Let's go over here. Oh, let's Control S, save that. Over here, let's run it, see what that gives us. Okay, and it's giving you the null values. Okay, so strings are set to null, integers are set to 0 in objects when they're first created. So we'll leave that tell my details. What we'll do now is we'll say Billy dot mood equals great, and we'll say Billy dot age equals how old's Billy? 8 for some bizarre reason, and then we will do Billy tell my details. Right, run that again. Control save. Over here, let me clear the screen. Just run that again for you. Okay, so you can see it's run, it did that stop shouting thing. First time it ran, we created the object but didn't actually set its age and mood. So it said its mood is null and my age is 0. And the second time it ran, we actually created, we set its mood to be grey and age is 8, and it printed that out. Have a go. Oh, one last thing. Notice when we compiled it, the one program, when compiled it produced 2 classes. Notice you've got 2 class files here because you've got class MyBigProgram and class Robot. Compiler Javac did that for you automatically. Have a go, see how you get on.